Hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have a Protoss versus Terran, so let's go ahead and introduce these players. Spawning here in the top side of Metalopolis, we have the red Terran player. His name is CastorTroy. And his opponent, and also submitter of this replay, spawning in the bottom side as the Protoss player, we have the one, the only, Quinn. And those blue little probes are going to mine their hearts out. And once again, being the same color as the minerals does not give you any advantage. Maybe they might be able to camouflage themselves when some kind of Hellion or Banshee harass comes in, but I don't think it'll work too well. Those Banshees have very keen eyes, and they might even have some heat-seeking things. I do believe that these little boosters do produce heat. I don't know if anyone knows about this, they could correct me, but I think that they would be actually heat tracked if there was a heat-seeking missile or something. But anyways, for now, Quinn's going to go ahead and not worry about the heat-seeking missiles for now, because he knows his opponent does not have time to get out those heat-seeking missiles just yet. And he's going to go ahead and find out what his opponent is doing. And we can see over here, his opponent is going for a pretty normal build and very normally timed barracks. I think it was around 12 supply. So that's going to allow him to get this wall off in time, as it looks like Quinn is scouting the wrong direction. If CastorTroy does decide to build that supply depot immediately, he will be able to wall this off. He does have a little bit time left. We're going to have to go ahead and see if CastorTroy will deny scouting with that wall off, but for now we do see Quinn just continue to plop down those regular old buildings. Interesting decision going for that second pylon before his gas geyser. I'm going to have to see how that ends up working out. And it looks like, oh, there is no wall off. CastorTroy not wanting to throw down that early supply depot, just looking to get the eventual wall off, and he is going to go ahead and start mining gas with just one guy on gas. Interesting decision. I'm going to have to see if he's looking to just build a tech lab or something small. And now we do finally see that wall off finally being completed, and the Cybernetics core going down for Quinn. He should put these guys on gas, as he did invest in that gas geyser. There it is. And hold that thought, guys. Yep. There we go. Anyways, moving right along, we do see that now CastorTroy mining all the guys from that gas, so that might have been a bit of a mistake. This is around a silver or gold league level of play. But we do see now the supply depot going down, so that this poor SCV can get back into his homeland. He does not want to be stranded out when there are Protoss afoot, and Protoss afoot there will be indeed, as the first Zealot is popping out. Wouldn't be too surprised to see that Stalker being started up once he does have the minerals for it. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at where Quinn has been using his Chrono Boost. Looks like he has not been using a majority of it, but he does have a pretty decent pro count at this point in time. Has been able to use a little bit of that Chrono Boost. But at the same time, we do see a 3 racks coming down for CastorTroy. He is getting that, oh, actually a reactor first. A very interesting decision. Not going to be looking to go for that very early tech lab. And it looks like with this proxy pylon planted by Quinn, he's going to be looking to do some potential aggression with that Chrono Boost saved up as well. Could be a 4 gate. We're going to have to wait and see. We do see 3 gateways down, but one thing I will note is that Quinn did end up getting this gas geyser a little bit late. I'm going to have to be a little bit concerned if he does decide to go for that 4 gate, as it looks like he is doing. But with that lower gas count, will he have enough to continuously warp in those Stalkers? Fortunately for him, he will be able to use those Zealots, as they're very effective against the Marines, but he needs to knock down this wall first. And if CastorTroy does decide to pull the SCVs to repair, it could cause a lot of troubles for Quinn, especially with this 3 racks going down. He will have a massive number of units. Does have 2 tech labs going down as well, so that will allow him to get those Marauders out in double time at the same rate that this 1 reactor barracks is producing it. But more importantly, he's going to be able to get the stim and combat shields at the same time, so that's really going to pay off. But unfortunately for him, I do believe that Quinn's first warp in should be coming up in just a second, and these upgrades are not going to be finished nearly in time. Stim and combat shields are going to be if he can hold off this aggression from Quinn. But it looks like the Stalker a little bit late to the party. The 4 warp gates finally warping in. We do see the first warp in from Quinn. Can he do this? Let's take a look at the worker count. And actually, surprisingly, Quinn actually a little bit ahead in the worker count. So maybe if he can just do a good amount of damage and maybe pick off some of these units that this scary 3 racks is going to be producing, he might be able to get ahead in this game. We're going to have to wait and see. We do see a couple more units just rallying over for Quinn. He does have quite a bit of a bank saved up, but he is supply blocked, so he's forced to build 3 pylons. That's really going to delay this 4-gate aggression. The 4-gate is all about hitting that timing around 6 minutes, but unfortunately he wasn't able to. And now look at the massive number of units that these 3 barracks have been able to produce. He already has about 3 Marauders, more on the way, and more Marines on the way, and I'm feeling that Quinn is not going to be able to do as much damage as he might like to do with this. He might actually be able to do a little bit more damage by planting a proxy pylon and warping some cells, but it looks like the Stalkers going in first, immediately getting picked off by these Marauders, and oh my god, that was not a very wise decision by Quinn. He should have, as soon as he's seen that army, backed out, but it looks like Quinn's going to continue to warp in. A couple of Zealots. Would like to see him just pull those back home, as this aggression is most assuredly over, and it looks like CastorTroy knows that he has killed off the entire army of his opponent, so he's going to go ahead and just go for the counterattack. But we're going to have to go in and wait and see if Quinn will be able to defend against this. He does have enough gas to, wow, actually getting a 5th gateway, a very interesting decision. But he does have the gas to start warping in some sentries. It looks like no, he's going to continue to warp in units over at his main base, and meanwhile CastorTroy only grabbing the Xel'Naga Watchtower, going to wait for a couple of reinforcing rally units, but it looks like at the same time Quinn's going to march straight into the main. Oh no, he needs to just go straight in. He needs to get these Zealots in the mineral line or something, start taking out the production facilities. I actually really like this decision, as he knows that he is behind in terms of unit counts, so he needs to do as much damage to production facilities. He is actually ahead right now in the worker count. So even though he's going after these workers, and it will help a bit, I don't know if it's going to be enough. He does manage to take out the reactor initially, and he also gets the tech lab, but I'm not sure if it was going to be worth it, as stim and combat shields have already finished. We can see here these units stimming their way to take out all of the remaining units of Quinn, and that's going to put Quinn in a very rough situation. This command center already started, so even though Quinn did manage to kill off just a couple of those, just 2 of those workers, it's really not going to be enough, and Quinn's going to lose even more units. Oh no. This game is just looking really dire for Quinn. Let's go ahead and see what he is planning to do at home. He hasn't even taken his 2nd gas geyser. He's going to have such a hard time dealing with this very large Marine Marauder ball that's just massing up more and more. The only thing that Quinn does have going for him is the fact that these Marine and Marauders have been stimming quite a bit, so they are going to be very low on health. They really can't afford to go into much of an engagement once again until they get those medevacs out. We're going to go ahead and see whether he decides to go for those medevacs anytime soon. No, for now, looks like he's going for that double engineering play, so he is going to be looking to do a little bit more of a long-term play. Let's go ahead and see what CastorTroy has seen of Quinn's base. He should know by now that at this point that Quinn did go for a very 4-gate centric style push with that aggression, but at this point in time he does not know whether or not Quinn has thrown down this expansion, or if he is going for some kind of tech play to really try and defend against this aggression. For now, CastorTroy is just going to use the units that he does have and push across the map, and maybe looking to get those +1/+1 upgrades. I think that's a very wise decision. He does have this command center as well that he needs to start mining from as soon as possible, as he did get that command center up quite a bit before Quinn got up his Nexus, but it looks like they are actually going to start mining around the same time, so that economic advantage, the potential economic advantage, kind of nullified for CastorTroy. But for now, looks like Quinn's going to be shooting ahead in that work account. I'd really like to see CastorTroy at this point do at least a little bit of poking, as he could do so much damage to Quinn. All he needs to do is poke. He doesn't have to commit to any aggression. If he sees anything that he cannot handle, just stim 1 Marine in. But for now, it looks like CastorTroy is going to just sit on his side of the map. He wants to hold his Xel'Naga Watchtower because he feels that the more vision he has, the better. But as of right now, it's about quality, not quantity. He might get more vision from the Xel'Naga Watchtower, but it's the vision that he is seeing that's important. He's not seeing how few units that Quinn has at this point, or that this Nexus is in fact down, or what kind of tech Quinn is in fact going for. And it looks like that robotic facility is going down. It has been plopped down, and unfortunately for CastorTroy, he has neglected to start these +1/+1 upgrades, as I think getting those as soon as possible would have been a huge advantage, as he could have just sat back even if Quinn did have that economic lead, and he would actually just have a very solid lead in this army camp. Looks like now CastorTroy moving in. He does not see the army, but it looks like Quinn is going to go ahead and move forward first. He throws down the Guardian Shields. No Force Shields coming out, but it looks like the Zealots a little bit slow behind, and it looks like at this point CastorTroy is going to be able to clean up the army of Quinn. with no real problem, and it looks like despite the fact that all of these units are so low on health, they're going to be able to clean up everything that Quinn has, and there are 5 gateways, and they will be able to warp in just these 5 zealots, but for now, it looks like Quinn is going to have to sacrifice his Nexus, throwing the zealots in. I don't know how much I like that decision. I would like to see maybe Quinn wait back with those 5 zealots, since he's already decided to sacrifice that Nexus, warp in another round of units, and then go in. He might have actually been able to do a lot more damage if he just had another round of stalkers or zealots to back up those 5 zealots that he initially warped in. But for now, the one thing that Quinn does have going for him is that he does still have that worker count lead. He still needs to learn how to deal with this army at this point in time that's about to move up the ramp. No, it looks like CastorTroy, very wary of potential force fields, does not want to get caught on the middle of the ramp and end up losing this massive, or this nice little force that he has right now. But as of right now, Quinn is going to continue to warp in units. He's going to be in a very picky situation, as he is going to not be mining from any bases very soon, as all of these minerals are dwindling at the same time. CastorTroy is mining from his natural expansion, does also even have this 3rd gas geyser up, so he's going to be in a pretty decent situation. Actually only has 1 guy in that gas geyser. I can't help but think that is a mistake. And oh no, it looks like CastorTroy actually trying to move up the ramp does end up losing a majority of his army, and now Quinn is going to be leading in that army count for a little bit. But to what end? I mean, there is even the second aggression coming in, but at this point, Quinn just needs to establish this Nexus. He so desperately needs that Nexus. Meanwhile, at the same time, it looks like CastorTroy looking to regroup and continue some aggression. We can see that even though the supply counts are relatively similar, we can see a lot of that supply for Quinn is actually just in probes, and right now those probes aren't doing anything for him. We can see that they are going to start long distance mining. I do like that decision, but as of right now, oh no, Quinn even losing a couple more units. He's going to be able to pick up a few of these units, but oh my god, this Immortal is going to be so important. Now CastorTroy, seeing that that army is going ahead and looking to do that counterattack, he's going to go ahead and pull back his units. He knows that if he can just hold off this aggression, maybe produce a couple more SCVs. I do think with this bank, he does need to produce some additional SCVs, but it looks like as of right now, he's going to be able to ward off this aggression just barely from Quinn. Now this Immortal getting a decent number of kills, but despite the fact that there are quite a few Marauders left, it cannot handle that massive, or that, I guess, relatively small, but still massive enough count of Marauders and that 1 Marine that do manage to take out that remaining army of Quinn. So Quinn is going to be looking to be in a halfway decent position at this point in time. As you can see here, he's still very far ahead in that worker count, and if he can just continue to mass up and tech up while holding off this aggression from CastorTroy, he does finally have his expansion back up and already has those 2 gas geysers finished, so he might be able to make a comeback into this game. But we do see the starport going down along with that reactor that will allow the production of those medevacs 2 at a time. Meanwhile, Quinn does need to get up some kind of tech. The one other thing that the starport will allow him to do, for CastorTroy anyways, it will mean that he can produce those Vikings out. He did see that Immortal, so he knows that Quinn does have that robotics tech. Might be expecting that Colossus transition. We're going to have to see whether or not he does start Viking production after he gets out a couple of medevacs. I think that Quinn is going to be looking to just try and stay alive at this point. I don't think he can really put on a lot of aggression at this point. Actually, I really like this decision. Quinn is a little bit of a picky of a situation. He's going to try and take a very risky 3rd, it looks like. But for now, actually, no, he's going to be moving across the map. This is going to be a very interesting situation. It looks like CastorTroy doesn't have quite as many units as he could have, as he did stop production out of those buildings. Don't know how much I agree with that, as he does still have quite a bit of a bank. He is not really supply blocked at this point in time. He is getting those medevacs out now, but he really does need those units. It's going to come down to how good Quinn's force fields are and his army positioning, as he does have a decent number of zealots. But no, it looks like Quinn actually just going to go ahead and poke around and then back up. I do like this decision, as the medevacs are coming out right now. He does have to be a little bit wary of the potential for drops as well. We're going to have to see if CastorTroy does decide to go for those drops. Just now actually starting +2/+2. Meanwhile, Quinn only now starting that +1 weapons, as he just now finished that forge. But on the other hand, he did get this 3rd up. These probes being a little bit idle, a little bit lazy. They're saying we don't have to start work until the factory or the Nexus does actually get up. We're unionized, so what are you going to do about it? Meanwhile, it looks like the army of Quinn looking to maybe do just a little bit of aggression. He is poking around their map, and I really like how active he is being with this army, but he still does have to be careful about the potential for drops at this point in time. Now, we do see that Quinn does not actually have that Colossus tech quite up just yet. He is going to be going for a little bit of aggression with just these 2 Immortals and that 1 Observer. That is going to allow him to spot the high ground, but for now it looks like that high ground vision is not going to be important. The third is finally finished up for Quinn, and the third is floating over for CastorTroy. Now let's see, can Quinn get some good force fields out? No, looks like he's just going for the Guardian Shield. Does still have the energy for force fields and not really opting to use it. There is the stim and the Metavacs finally healing up CastorTroy's army, and I think that CastorTroy should have this battle in this engagement. It looks like now he's just backing up, getting a best angle that he can, and now trying to firing down those Immortals. Only 1 Immortal left, and it looks like CastorTroy cleaning that up without too much of a hitch, and it looks like at this point Quinn maybe overestimated the size of his army, maybe could have thrown down a couple of force fields to better that engagement for himself, but as of right now, Quinn's once again going to be in a bit of a picky situation. We can see here he is still ahead a little bit in that worker count, but we can see here at the same time there is a bit of energy, and by a bit I mean quite a bit of energy saved up for CastorTroy. That's going to allow him to mule the heck up once this expansion does finally get up, and it looks like he is transforming that into an orbital command. He does have a couple of transferring, so really I'm going to say that at this point CastorTroy, once he throws down those mules, is going to be in a better economic position, does have the larger army at this point, and does also have those Metavacs out, and also has a couple of misrallied Metavacs as well. But we do finally see that Robotics Bay going down for Quinn. Quinn really needs to do something to come back in this game, maybe go for some High Templar as well, but I think for now these Colossus could end up playing out very well in his favor if he does get the chance to get up enough Colossus. But for now, the big question is going to be, when does CastorTroy decide to move out? He should know that his opponent has basically lost his entire army. He should feel safe at least moving across the map to see what his opponent has, see the army composition, and just kind of poke around. I really think that the biggest thing that these players could improve on at this point in time, despite the macro that I think CastorTroy is finally starting to catch up in a little bit, is that I think CastorTroy and Quinn, well, Quinn actually has been doing a pretty decent job of poking around. We saw him moving his army around up here and moving it up around to the Xel'Naga Tower, kind of chilling a little bit, pulling back, moving over here, pulling back. I think Quinn's been doing a good job of it, but the main thing is that CastorTroy needs to improve on is maybe just looking to do a little bit of that poking action. But now we see Quinn going to look to take that gold expansion. We're going to see if he gets away with it. At this point in time, this is a very unsafe expansion. We do see the +3 armor upgrade going down for CastorTroy. And no +3 weapons as of just yet, but meanwhile at the same time, Quinn sitting at just +1 weapons. That's going to be very, very difficult for him to catch up in that regard, even with the Chrono Boost. He does have a bit of Chrono Boost saved up. Should start researching out of this forge as soon as possible, as the +1 armor also just finished up. So he's going to be sitting at +1/+1 versus +2/+2, soon to be +2/+3. Now that's a lot of numbers, but the main point is CastorTroy is going to be very far ahead in upgrades. Meanwhile, Quinn will have those Colossus coming out in just a little bit. He is also getting out that Twilight Council, so he can start that +2/+2, maybe even get a couple Dark Templar in the mix. I think that would be very useful. At this point in time, we can see though that CastorTroy is just about max. He's just going to be waiting for these last remaining units. Even has a Thor or two mixed into this army composition. I really think that's a very interesting decision. Could end up working out for him. He does have that shipped weapons level 2 upgrade already started, so that does mean he is going to be prepared for those Viking production, and really that's going to be very important once Quinn does get up that Colossus count. But for now, he is going to just allow Quinn to start massing up, and that's really not the wisest decision. I really think that he should be moving out across the map. He still does not know about this gold expansion. That's really going to start hurting him if he allows Quinn to get up that gold expansion and really start letting it kick into overdrive. Now Quinn also does have pretty good production at this point in time. He does have quite a bit of gas saved up. Would like to see maybe a transition into some High Templar. I think that'd be very useful, especially against this very marine heavy composition. Even with those Marauders, I still think those Psystorms could do a massive amount of damage at this point in time. But for now, he's going to be just going for those Colossus. Does have that Blink researching, as well as the Protoss Shield level 1 just about to complete. A very interesting decision. We oftentimes don't see Protoss getting that just because of the cost, but we do see CastorTroy is moving out. Can Quinn hold off this aggression? I don't know. He's not even really well positioned. He would be well positioned if he maybe tried to make use of this choke. Does not have any force fields, or he actually does know. He does have quite a bit of few force fields, so he will be able to force field off this army a little bit, but those Thors are going to cause some trouble, and it looks like now Quinn actually accidentally target firing down that pylon. Not sure how well of a move that's going to actually pay off for him, but now it looks like the Colossus getting focus fire down. This Colossus is doing a good amount of damage, but this is just too massive of an army for Quinn to deal with. He's going to end up losing his entire army once again, and also going to end up losing this gold expansion. You can see here he has lost most of his workers in terms of the advantage that he had. We do see here 20 workers already killed. Now this army is just going to move across the map over to Quinn's natural expansion. I'm not sure what Quinn can do about it. Maybe with the best blink whip micro in the world, he might be able to save this, but I really doubt it. Actually, I'm not even sure that with the best blink micro in the world, he could eventually even take this out. I feel like with just even one aim, this army and CastorTroy will probably be able to take out Quinn at this point. It looks like Quinn did not in fact invest in that Dark Shrine that I was hoping he might in fact invest in at some point in time, but it looks like with no blink micro at this point, Quinn really knowing that his time is kind of up at this point. He's doing a little bit of Colossus micro, but at this point I'm pretty sure he's dead in the water. So we're going to have to wait to see what Quinn decides to do at this point, if he does decide to prolong this game a little bit by building a couple of units and really trying to, or rebuilding his infrastructure over his third. But at this point in time, I think he realizes the game is pretty much over. And there is the GG. So well played by Quinn, well played by CastorTroy. CastorTroy eventually letting that constant aggression, just constantly killing off Quinn's army, eventually netting that natural expansion of Quinn, and also eventually being able to build up that massive army to take out the gold expansion, ended up paying off for CastorTroy despite a little bit of mistakes in the macro, despite the fact that I will say he was maxed out has been maxed out for a while. He did let his macro slip just a little bit in this game. Quinn really set behind by his economic losses, also constantly losing those armies and those not so favorable engagements, really end up costing him the game. But anyways, thank you so much to Quinn for submitting this game, and thank you so much for submitting a game that you actually end up losing. Don't actually get that often, so it takes a really really awesome, I'm dropping the word for it, but you guys know what I mean. Thank you so much to Quinn for submitting this replay. Anyways, if you guys want your replays casted, you can go ahead and send those to feardragon64@gmail.com. I am going to be casting pretty much 100% of the replays that are sent to me eventually. And I'm finally done with finals. Yahoo! I'm on summer vacation. That does still mean I'm going to have to do a lot of work, but that also means that I'm going to have a lot more time. That means I'm going to be able to do a lot of things, such as casting a lot more often. We're going to be seeing a lot more videos out of me, so please tune in for those. Please subscribe if you like my videos and commentary in any capacity whatsoever. I'm also very open to feedback, and thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you guys next time.